Welcome to Coffee with Kupke, a production of St. Paul Inside the Walls. Here on Coffee with Kupke, we grab a cup of coffee, at least we're claiming this is coffee. We sit with Monsignor Raymond Kupke, the pastor of St. Anthony's in Hawthorne, professor at Immaculate Conception Seminary, diocesan archivist. We sit with Monsignor Kupke to delve into the history of Catholicism in the Diocese of Paterson. My name is Father Paul Manning. I am the vicar for Evangelization for the Diocese of Paterson. And here I am with Monsignor Kupke. So grab your cup of coffee and let's jump right in. I'm going to take a sip. Monsignor Kupke, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
A little early, but we wanted to make sure that we were able to record the Christmas special to be ready for the week before Christmas.
And you know why this is special?
No.
Because
I'm here and you're here?
Well, but at all of our other broadcasts, you have all the notes on your side. But this time, I have the notes on my side.
Yeah, the fact is, I have no idea what the Christmas special is going to be. So this is going to be fun. But I did want to just mention our Christmas decor. And Monsignor Kupke and I have been sharing Christmas gifts at least since 1988. And this is a gift that I received from you.
Right, yeah.
And so where was this from again?
This is from the Tyrol.
The Tyrol is part of
Italy, Austria, the wood carving tradition in the mountains.
And it's a beautiful small set. I don't know if you can see it on the screen, but
it's one of the rare ones where Mary is shown pregnant.
Yes. And she also can shift. I want to break it now.
If she's of a mind to.
Yeah. Anyway. So, in a previous episode, we talked about Midnight Mass, the history of Midnight Mass, or the history of the suppression of the Midnight Mass. Right. So, anything you want to say about that before we?
Well, Christmas, as we all know, is the locus of customs. Family customs, church customs, neighborhood customs. So, among the different ethnic groups, the seven fish supper for the Italians, the simbang gambi for the Filipinos.
Yes. In some ways, I feel like we're reclaiming some of these.
Yes. Yeah. Los Pastores among the Latinos.
Right.
All of these are ethnic Christmas traditions, and the bowls have probably the strongest one. Because Christmas Eve was a day of fast and abstinence in the old church, so you could not have meat on Christmas Eve. Yes. This is the origin of the seven fish supper. Mm-hmm. There's no meat involved in that. So we
can't have meat, so let's go crazy with fish.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't buy cheap pork. Buy expensive lobster because this is a poor meal. But anyway, so the Poles have this elaborate meal with very specific foods. The Slovaks do too, and the Ukrainians. I tell people that I owe my vocation to it because I disliked the foods at this meal so much that as soon as I was old enough to drive, I got out of this. My cousins all have memories of this Christmas Eve meal that I don't remember because I was in church as soon as I could get up there because I didn't like any of it.
Oh, wow. You're not a fish guy.
I'm not a fish guy. Mushroom soup was not my favorite.
Gosh, that sounds fantastic.
Yeah, it wasn't at the time. But anyway. So for the Poles, this is a very elaborate, very orchestrated meal that ends up with the whole family walking to church for midnight mass on Christmas. You can imagine, like on a maybe a slightly snowy.
Oh yeah, beautiful.
All the families in Passaic, leaving their homes and walking to Holy Rosary, St. Joe's. It must have looked beautiful.
It's funny in my memory, Christmas is snowy in my childhood. Yeah. And maybe it was more so because of changes in the climate, but
so in 1875 in the Newark Diocese, they banned midnight mass on Christmas again because of their concern about drunkenness.
Yeah.
Fortunately, in our area, by the time the Poles arrive in the 1890s, this has abated somewhat, and they don't hit it. But there are other parts of the country where this is a big deal, and is cited by a number of congregations as part of the reason that they leave communion with Rome and join the PNCC.
Yes.
The
Polish National Catholic. Yeah. So I don't know where you were going to start. Where were you going to start with Christmas?
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
So, we have a number of parishes that have historical memories around Christmas. So you start with Assumption in Morristown. Not their current church, but the previous church. The first Mass was on Christmas midnight.
Wow.
And it was not finished yet. This is 1845.
Do you know if
1848,
was there snow that day?
I don't know. Yeah. But
because Dylan Thomas in his A Child's Christmas in Wales, the beginning, I can never remember if it snowed 3 feet when I was 6 or 6 feet when I was 3.
So Bishop McQuaid, who was the pastor at the time, says that basically it was unfinished, but they were so desirous of being in there on Christmas, so they put 2 barrels with planks between the barrels, and that was the altar.
Oh my! Wow!
And they had midnight mass in their new church unfinished. Booton has a similar experience on Christmas Eve in 1846. This is Mount Carmel.
Yeah.
The New Jersey Iron Company announced to its Irish workers that they were giving them a special Christmas bonus by donating a plot of land for them to build a church on.
Wow.
And this is basically the plot of land that they still have today, where Mount Carmel School is today. This is the original plot of land that they were given on Christmas Eve in 1846.
Now, was there a church on that property?
The original church, which later is taken down and moved to Hibernia.
St. Patrick's.
That was on that side of Birch Street.
Yes, and now the church is on the other side.
Right.
Yeah.
And then St. Agnes in Paterson also, their first Mass in their current church was on Christmas Day in 1883. So, a number of places have connections to Christmas that way. But also on a personal basis, the second Bishop of Paterson and our last bishop, Bishop Serratelli, both of whom studied in Rome. The Roman custom was to ordain them just before Christmas.
Okay.
During the December Ember Days.
Yes.
So Serratelli was ordained on December 20th, Boland on December 23rd.
Okay.
So again, a very
Christmas bishops. Yeah. Christmas priests, Christmas bishops.
Priests, right.
Yeah.
You could say Mass on Christmas.
That would be beautiful.
Yeah, it was a whole. And oddly enough, the other one that has connections to Christmas is our cause for canonization, the Benedictine brother Marinus up at St. Paul's Abbey. His famous event of saving this Korean village on his ship, that took place over Christmas. So Christmas was a very important day for him. So all of his monastic events, his entrance into the monastery, his first profession, and his solemn profession, all took place at midnight Mass on Christmas.
Oh.
So
if you don't know, we do have a potential saint, Brother Marinus, whose name before religion was, it's gone out of my head too.
LaRue is his family name.
Yeah, was it Leo or something? Something LaRue.
I forget what it was.
Yeah. But anyway, he was a merchant marine, wasn't he, in the Korean War?
Yes.
And ended up on his merchant vessel as the captain, saving
The Meredith Victory, yeah.
Yeah, how many, it's thousands.
5,000.
Unbelievable.
An entire village.
So he helped them evacuate.
From north of the DMZ,
Okay.
around by ship, and dumped them off south in what is South Korea today.
Yeah. So that's a Christmas monk.
All of those are
And
Christmas
did you
stories.
meet him, Brother Marinus?
Oh yeah, many times. I think you did too.
I think I did, yeah.
He was in his last assignment, he was in charge of the gift shop at St. Paul's Abbey.
Yes, and we were there.
We were there
for search
many
retreats.
times. Yeah.
So Father Pavel Tomczyk of our diocese is working
Promoter,
on that cause
Right.
with Dr. Mary Mazzarella of our Respect Life office. They are very, very involved in this.
It's a tough cause because Marinus was a good religious. He left no paper trail. If they took every single thing he ever wrote and put it together, it would not be as big as my book.
A folder.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right. And that's good, right? For canonization, because it gets complicated.
They can't get you for anything.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah.
Was he quirky?
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of saints are, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But and then you have places in the diocese that are somewhat connected to Christmas. For example, obviously, Bethlehem Center in Chester.
Yes.
You
So
know,
the
this is
Bethlehem
their-
Hermitage. Again, I don't know if you know that we have a diocesan hermitage, and it's a diocesan community
Right.
of hermits.
Right. Laura.
A Laura of hermits
Right.
in Chester, and you can actually go on retreat there. You can spend time in your own little hermitage in silence in the woods.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
it's
Not too far from where you grew up.
actually, there's an old railroad bed that you can take from my house, the house I grew up in, to the Laura.
So they obviously, by name and devotion, to the Bethlehem in the heart of Jesus, the
Yes.
silence of Bethlehem. Christmas is obviously their patronal feast day, and
in fact, it's worth visiting the chapel
Around
and
Christmas,
looking at the iconography, which is just stunning. So that was founded by one of our diocesan priests who asked permission from Bishop Rodheimer or Bishop Casey.
Yeah.
So Father Gene Romano became the first and only desert father, I think, right?
Well, I think
Is there
there
a
might be
desert
one
father
there now. Yes.
Okay, yeah. So anyway, he worked on the rule and created the community and oversaw the building of the all the hermitages. Yeah, it's a pretty amazing local story.
Yeah. And then you have just up the street from where we are right now, the Carmel in Morristown was also founded during Christmas week.
Wow.
So every year they have the bishop up there between Christmas and New Year's to celebrate their anniversary.
Now, did you have, when I said to you, let's do a Christmas special, and I said, you said, let me think about it, did all of these Christmas connections suddenly come to mind? Or did you have to, this seems like you would have had to do a lot of research to find these dates.
I would sit there in front of the TV late at night with my piece of paper, and I would remember different pieces, and then I would organize them.
Yeah. So Monsignor Kupke is a multitasker par excellence. So we lived together at St. Peter's in Parsippany. He's also a night owl, but he would be on the phone, working on his computer, watching the news, and talking to me all at the same time. Okay, so sorry.
Yeah.
So next Christmas.
Right.
Next Christmas.
The other one that has an interesting connection, although the place is gone now, but the Missionary Sisters of the Immaculate Conception, who had a place in West Paterson in Woodland Park.
Oh, was it up
on top of the hill?
Yeah,
by Tom Brock.
They used to didn't we used to televise mass from there?
Yeah. Right. So back in the days before Vatican II, when the 40 hours devotion was not only popular, but almost required. The diocese would actually lay out a program of 40 hours, a calendar, so that every weekend was covered somewhere in the diocese,
Wow.
all through the whole year. And Tom Brock volunteered for Christmas. So they had 40 hours devotion on Christmas Day.
And Tom Brock was what?
It was their college, their mother house,
okay.
their the estate where they had their chapel and all.
Wow.
Basically today I think it's Berkeley Business College. But
Oh, yeah, I've seen the sign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they also had a connection. They liked to do their Eucharistic adoration over Christmas. The other one, is one of the most popular local Christmas customs is the giant Christmas tree at Rockefeller Center in Manhattan.
Of course.
And our diocese gave the tree one year when they spied a tree on the property of the Sisters of Christian Charity.
I remember this.
And they asked for the tree, and the nuns, did
Deliberated,
it up.
yeah.
As they had a ceremony of goodbye to the tree.
Yes,
and,
to probably name the tree.
Blessed the tree, and then they cut down the
then
tree.
They sacrificed the tree.
Yes, and then the tree made it through the tunnel.
Yes.
To Manhattan, and then all the nuns went to Rockefeller Center.
I remember this.
Yeah.
This wasn't that long ago.
No, it's probably about 20 years ago.
Yeah, I think I was at Mars Catholic at the time, perhaps.
So there's been a number of, local church connections to Christmas.
Can I jog your memory? Do you remember anything about St. Luke's in Long Valley? So my recollection is that I was a seminarian there, but I think for their first Christmases, because they were borrowing space, they celebrated Christmas in one of the local barns in Long Valley, an actual barn, big barn.
Peter Duty's idea.
Yes, Father Peter Duty, and in the midst of, I think, some farm animals and bales of hay.
Good Shepherd in Andover has a similar. Before they were in their church, they borrowed the Old Mill Inn. In Andover there, and on one of their early Christmas Eves, they had live animals. And,
Okay. Liturgically,
you get very creative at Christmas.
Yeah, that's true.
It would be interesting someday to poll all the priests of the diocese and see what they do on Christmas Eve liturgically, because there's nothing in the books about Christmas Eve. There's nothing about how baby Jesus gets into the crib.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And I suspect,
and we all do that to some
suspect that it's like handed down priest to priest.
Yes, yeah.
Like whatever your pastor did, or your home pastor did, you do that, and then you pass it on to the next guy.
Yeah, that's right. So I just want to be a little bit conscious of time. So you, I want you to tell
the
us.
one thing I was going to say is that in some ways, our diocese is a Christmas diocese because we were founded on the 9th of December in
the season of
1937,
Advent.
right?
Yeah.
But it really wasn't announced. My understanding is that the locals got word of it on Saturday morning, the 11th of December.
Yes.
So even though Christmas was only 2 weeks away, literally, they had to stop everything and suddenly appoint a committee of preparation before Christmas to get going, because they only had X amount of time to fix the cathedral, start organizing things, find a chancery office, all the stuff that you need to do when you start off a diocese.
Wow.
And they, even though they all had something else to do, because it was 2 weeks before Christmas, still they had to stop it and say, all right, you're on the committee, you're in the committee. We're going to have a meeting on December 20th or whatever it is.
Boy, oh boy, wow. But given the fact that we're a Christmas diocese, in some sense, we all ought to be conscious of Christmas every day, right?
Yeah. The other time it came was when Joe Brestol died.
Monsignor Joe Brestol, Vicar General.
And the first priest of the diocese.
Oh, yes, I
He
forgot
was the first one ordained for the diocese, but he died on December 22nd. And they decided to have his funeral on Christmas Eve. You know, they didn't wait till
I was
after.
there. I was there.
I know. And we were all there.
I forgot that.
We were all there. And this is before the Passaic County parking garage was built.
Yes.
So the police closed down DeGrasse Street, and it became a parking lot for all the priests. You know, I remember looking around and saying to myself, you know, this is a great tribute to Brestol's popularity. We all have something else to do this morning because it's Christmas Eve,
there,
but we're all here.
It's reminiscent of the magnitude of McNulty's funeral.
Yeah, exactly.
In some ways.
You know, everybody's minds were somewhere else on Christmas. You know, what I still have to do between now and 4 o'clock, but nonetheless, everybody was there for him.
My big recollection of that funeral is when it came time to take his casket out.
Yeah.
How they lifted the casket onto their
shoulder
shoulders.
lift,
Which you don't see that often.
No. Well, in many churches, you wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah.
But in the cathedral, there's enough room, enough clearance that you...
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, any anecdotes that you want to wrap up with?
Just two from, you know, the archives. Again, they're kind of tearjerker anecdotes. But, you know, they probably work for Christmas, you know.
If any of you know Kupke's tearjerkers, you might need tissues. He might need tissues.
He might need it. So we have a lovely picture of Our Lady of Mercy in Whippany. Not the current church, but the chapel, you know, when it was still the church. And it's all decorated for Christmas. You know, that's such a small space.
Yes.
I cannot imagine how they got all of this in there, you know. But over on the right, when you look at the picture, this is in the middle of World War II. So they have a banner up with 2 stars on it because there are 2 boys in the parish overseas fighting in the war. So they wanted to make sure that they remembered them in church at Christmas. And so their banner is part of the decoration. The other one is from my many Montville stories. You know?
Yes.
Joe Meyer, the founding pastor of St. Pius X in Montville, when he went away, this is Meyer's German mentality. It was very precise, you know. So when he went away to the high school seminary, he lived in western Pennsylvania, and he went to the Josephinum in Ohio.
Okay.
So as he's leaving to start freshman year in high school.
And was he studying for our diocese at that point?
No, you could go to the Josephinum without
and then pick up a diocese.
And pick up a diocese.
Got it. And it was high school, did you say?
Well, you could go from high school through theology there.
Yeah.
They had all 3, high school, college.
Okay.
So he reasons that he's never going to be home for Christmas again because
as a priest,
the seminarians don't go home for Christmas. And then once you're ordained, you know, he would be in New Jersey. It's an 8-hour trip to western Pennsylvania even today.
Yes.
So he figured he would never be home again for Christmas. So he gave his mother as a gift, in lieu of his presence, a nativity creche, not a tiny one, but a decent-sized one. You know. So 30 years later, when he becomes the founding pastor of Montville, and they're having their first Christmas Mass in the barn at Montville, she sends it back to him.
Wow.
As the nativity scene for the church. And it remained so up until, you know, like 10 years ago when they bought a new big set. But,
yes.
You know, it was an interesting little Christmas.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I'm kind of thinking of the end of Bing Crosby, Barry Fitzgerald.
Yeah.
When
Going My Way.
Yeah, and
the bells of St. Mary's.
Yeah, and his mother shows up at the end.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my gosh,
exactly.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us for the Coffee with Kupke Christmas special. And maybe just to finish, we can take a silent moment, and then Monsignor Kupke, maybe you could bless us.
May Christ's coming as man at Christmas be a source of blessing for you and your families. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
Amen. See you next time.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Let's leave it there. I want all of you who are listening or watching to make sure that you keep an eye out or an ear out for the next episode of Coffee with Kupke. In order to stay on top of new releases, make sure you follow or subscribe wherever you're listening. And if you are on YouTube, please do drop a like and hit the bell for notifications. While you're at it, make sure to check out the other shows produced by the diocese. Those shows are Beyond the Beacon, hosted by Bishop Kevin Sweeney and Jay Agnish, our Director of Communications, and the Paul Street Journal, hosted by Brian Hansberger and Freddie Garcia. I want to give a special thanks to Joe Ginexi, our sound and visual engineer, Caitlin Ferrari, who's involved in pre- and post-production, and Freddie Garcia, who's helping out with this podcast in addition to doing his own. With all that said, I just want to thank you for joining us in Coffee with Kupke. Keep making Catholic history in the Diocese of Paterson.